Well, ladies and gentlemen, America is on edge today. President Donald J. Trump has just gone nuclear on Venezuela, deploying stealth fighters, warships, and even a nuclear submarine after Nicolás Maduro's forces dared to buzz our Navy. The world is now holding its breath as President Trump puts the full weight of American power on display. But while Trump is staring down these foreign enemies, right here at home, another battle is unfolding. This time against the arrogance of the fake news elite. Failed CNN anchor Don Lemon thought that he could embarrass the National Guard, shove a camera in their faces, and then bait them into trashing Trump. Instead, he got stunned into silence. In fact, the National Guard didn't take the bait. They shut that man down cold. And in that particular moment, Don Lemon's desperation to stay relevant just blew up in his face. Now, this is the double showdown of the day. A president who refuses to back down abroad and a media class completely humiliated right here on our own soil. So stick with me, guys, because today I want to go ahead and break down every angle, the jets roaring over the Caribbean, the National Guard standing tall in Washington, D.C., the citizens that are on the ground begging for Trump to help, and the Democrats completely panicking because they know that they're losing control of the narrative. Guys, this is not just news. This is history unfolding in real time. I hope you guys are paying attention to what's happening here. Trump goes nuclear. Don Lemon he gets completely humiliated. And the National Guard sends a very startling message. Now, if you think that the elites are panicking now, wait until you see what's coming next. Hit the like button, subscribe, guys. Oh, man. Under President Trump, America is standing at a crossroads. I mean, we're literally living through this double crisis right now. I mean, abroad, you've got Venezuela. They're daring to provoke the United States of America. Right here at home, you got Don Lemon. I mean, this guy. I mean, let me know if you drop a like or a dislike if you like or dislike Don Lemon. Let me know where you guys stand. I don't know what you guys' opinion is on Don Lemon. This is a man who once strutted on CNN as if he spoke for the country. Rather arrogant, I know. And now he's being reduced to begging National Guard troops for attention, only to be stunned into silence. Now, the question that's hanging over all of us right now, are America's enemies overseas and its media elites at home about to be crushed on the very same day? Well, I want to go ahead and start with the nuclear firepower that President Trump just unleashed in the Caribbean. It's crazy what he's doing over there. Now, Maduro's regime thought that they could just buzz over our Navy destroyers with some old U.S.-made F-16s and get away with it. Not very smart, I guess. But President Trump is not Joe Biden. He doesn't just mumble into these note cards and shrug it off. He went nuclear, deploying 10 F-35 stealth fighters out of Puerto Rico, sending 8 U.S. warships steaming into position, and even moving a nuclear-armed submarine off of Venezuela's coast. Then came the order that shocked the world. Standing next to General Raisen Kaine, Trump told him on camera in front of reporters, if they fly in a dangerous position, you can do anything you want. That is an open authorization to shoot Maduro's planes right out of the sky. Think about the weight of that moment, guys. The commander-in-chief in broad daylight, making it crystal clear. Threaten America once, and you won't get a second chance. This isn't saber rattling. This isn't bluff. This is the United States of America saying, enough. You will not run drugs into our country. You're not going to release your prisoners into our communities. You will not endanger our sailors or put our people at risk. Do it again, and you're going to be flattened. Period. So here we are, guys. Nuclear submarines lurking, stealth jets armed to the teeth, Trump daring Maduro to blink. The stakes couldn't be any higher. And the tension is this. Is this the breaking point? Is this the moment that Maduro finally learns that America under Trump is not to be effed with? Well, here is a secret move that most people don't know. Medicare benefits are constantly being updated. I mean, all the time. New programs, new perks, new ways to save. But your plan's not always going to call you and say, hey, here's something better. In fact, they never do that. They never do that. In fact, they profit when they don't do that. And so this is why I partner with Chapter. They know every update. They know every option. They know every loophole that can put money back in your pocket. It's a freaking amazing that they know to do this. And what's even more wild is that they're doing this for the Ron Yates community for absolutely free. I love it. One of our viewers said, I found out that I qualified for benefits I didn't even know existed until Chapter explained it to me. What do you say to that, right? So let me ask, are you okay missing opportunities, or would you rather do what most people are already doing, finding out what's available? Now, most people, they're picking up the phone and they're calling the number on the bottom of your screen, or of course, they're visiting the askchapter.org/Ron website. The phone number is 909-563-8279. So now, as President Trump roars over the Caribbean, Nicolás Maduro doesn't just back down. Instead, he makes his most desperate claim yet, that he essentially rallied 8 million citizens. 8 million guys ready to rise up against the United States. Now, I got to ask a quick question for you. Just a yes or no. Do you really believe Maduro rallied 8 million citizens? I mean, we're already hearing like all sorts of people are evacuating from Venezuela. Are there even 8 million people there? Anyway, on paper, just give me a yes or no if you believe him. But on paper, that sounds like strength, right? But let's be real, guys. This is like, what is 8 million hungry, underarmed civilians compared to the might of the United States military? Seriously, right? Compared to F-35 stealth fighters, warships bristling with missiles, and a nuclear submarine that's parked off the coastline, this is not a fair fight. That's a suicide pact. And deep down, Maduro knows it. The people's militia, this is nothing but propaganda, nothing more. A dictator's last grasp to look defiant, to look, trying to scare America into a retreat. But what happens when the propaganda collides with Trump's blunt warning? Because the president of the United States didn't mince words. He said, if they put us in a dangerous position, they will be shot down. Do whatever you want, General. That's not a line in the sand, guys. In fact, that is a promise of annihilation. So ask yourself, is this the moment that Maduro finally learns that bluster and body counts don't intimidate Trump? Like that you don't get to buzz U.S. destroyers without consequences? That if you threaten American lives, you're not just facing Joe Biden's excuses anymore, you're facing Trump's wrath? Well, here's where this escalates from foreign saber rattling to something a lot more personal, okay? Trump isn't only talking about planes and ships. He's pointing the finger at Venezuela's role in the drug war tearing America apart. Trump laid it out clearly. Billions of dollars in narcotics flooding our borders, cartels using Venezuelan ports as gateways to poison U.S. neighborhoods, entire prisons emptied, the worst criminals, murderers, gangsters, traffickers shipped straight into our country. And what did Trump say that those shipments represent? Hundreds of thousands of dead Americans. Every bag of fentanyl, every kilo of cocaine, it's another coffin in an American city. We don't need that. We don't want that. This is where the human cost really hits home, guys. This isn't about geopolitics. This is about mothers burying their children. It's about entire neighborhoods enslaved to cartel violence. Trump is connecting Maduro's regime directly to the blood on our streets, and he's promising to end it. Now, ladies and gentlemen, while President Donald J. Trump is leading America back to strength, there's another battlefield where victory is desperately needed. This is the fight against cancer. And today, we're talking about a company that could change everything for patients who have been left behind. Now, this video is sponsored on behalf of Oncolytics Biotech Incorporated, currently listed on the NASDAQ under the ticker symbol of ONCY. And this is very critical that you pay attention to what they're doing right now. This is groundbreaking, folks. What they're building with their lead therapy, pelareorep, could make them one of the most important names in cancer immunotherapy. Now, guys, Oncolytics is no longer just proving the science works. They're executing on a clear clinical plan. In fact, after years of early studies showing promise, the company has shifted into a divisive sprint toward regulatory clarity. Now, their top priority, this is a registration-enabled pivotal trial in the first-line metastatic pancreatic cancer. This is one of the most deadliest cancers in the world, with virtually no immunotherapy options available today. Now, this isn't a side project. In fact, the FDA has already granted pelareorep both fast track and orphan drug designations for pancreatic cancer, which gives Oncolytics regulatory advantages and accelerates the timeline. Now, they're actively working with regulators right now to finalize the trial design with overall survival as the primary endpoint. This is the gold standard in cancer trials. And if all goes according to plan, startup activities for that pivotal study could begin before the end of this year. The clinical data that led here is absolutely compelling. In fact, in first-line metastatic pancreatic cancer, historical survival rates were bleak, just 9.2% at 2 years on chemotherapy. But in patients who receive pelareorep plus chemo, the survival rate more than doubled to 21.8%. 1.9%. Now, those numbers are exactly why experts are calling pancreatic cancer an ideal starting point and why oncolytics is prioritizing it above everything else. But the plan doesn't stop there. In fact, palaeorep is already being tested across multiple gastrointestinal tumors, including colorectal and anal cancer, through ongoing studies like Goblet, which is delivering both safety data and early efficacy signals. Most updates from these programs are expected by the end of this year. Now, here's a real kicker. Palaeorep isn't just about one cancer type. In fact, it's designed as a platform therapy, a treatment that can be combined with chemotherapy, checkpoint inhibitors, CAR T-cell therapies, and targeted drugs to make them all more effective. The goal is to position palaeorep as a backbone across gastrointestinal oncology, the same way President Trump has built tariffs into the backbone of America's trade strategy. Foundational, unavoidable, and very powerful. Now, of course, safety always matters. And here's the story. The story is strong. Palaeorep has already been dosed in more than 1,200 patients across trials, including over 300 with gastrointestinal tumors, and the profile remains consistent. Most side effects are mild, like flu-like symptoms, with no evidence that palaeorep makes chemotherapy any more harsh. That consistency gives regulators and potential partners even more confidence. So what's next on the clinical roadmap? Q3 2025 updated trial timelines for the pivotal pancreatic study. Q4 2025, trial startup activities could begin. End of 2025, new data from the Goblet program in anal carcinoma. In Q4 of 2025, patent extension updates, another important piece of the long-term plan. Now, just as President Donald J. Trump has shown America the power of execution and focus, Oncolytics is executing on a clinical plan that could deliver survival benefits where almost no hope exists. Now, that's not just science, guys. That is legacy-building medicine. Now, folks, I am not an investment advisor, and this video should not be considered investment advice. Investors should always conduct their own due diligence before making any investment decisions. But there's another layer to this. This is one that Democrats don't want you to talk about. So right now, more than 100,000 Venezuelans are here under so-called temporary protected status. This is a gift handed out by Joe Biden, then terminated by Trump, and it's now tangled up in the court systems. Judges are, they've stalled deportations, handcuffing Trump's ability to act. But here's a twist. If this standoff escalates into a military conflict, Trump can invoke emergency powers to send them back legally. Courts can't block it. Then all of a sudden, Maduro's aggression could open the door for Trump to deliver the deportations that Biden's allies thought that they stopped. So think about the stakes. One dictator taunts America with flyovers. Trump responds with nuclear subs and stealth jets. Maduro rattles off fantasies of an 8 million man militia. Trump points to drugs, criminals, and body bags and says enough. And behind the scenes, this showdown could trigger the biggest deportation wave in modern history. Now, this isn't just about Venezuela. This is about reclaiming American safety. This is about telling the cartels, the criminals, and yes, the dictators, your days of using America as your dumping ground are over. So while Trump is staring down Maduro with stealth jets and nuclear submarines, back here at home, another humiliation is unfolding, and this one aimed straight at the media elite. Enter the room, Don Lemon, once the smug face of CNN, now reduced to a wandering agitator with a camera and a bruised ego. He thought that he was going to score some points by ambushing the National Guard at Union Station in Washington, D.C. He ran up, microphone out, eyes wide, begging these soldiers to bash Trump on camera. And what happened? The Guard didn't flinch. They didn't bite. With calm discipline, they told him, "That's a question for the state PAO office, sir. Thank you." Boom. That's it, guys. No clip, no anti-Trump soundbite, just pure professionalism. And that right there, guys. Lemon, he was left stunned in the silence. In fact, he thought that he had found some easy prey. Instead, he got smacked down by the very men and women that he had hoped to exploit. Think about that. Trump's enemies abroad, they try to buzz our warships, and then they get threatened with annihilation. Trump's enemies here at home, the media elites, they try to bait our troops, and then they get politely but firmly shut down. It's the same story. Strength beats arrogance every single time. But Don Lemon, he wasn't done embarrassing himself. Oh no, that was just a start. He marched right into Marjorie Taylor Greene's congressional office as if he owned the place, cameras rolling, demanding attention. He and his crew harassed the staff, pretending freedom of the press gave them a right to barge in uninvited and record whatever they wanted. And how did that end? Well, Capitol Police were called. Don Lemon got kicked out like a common nuisance. This scene wasn't journalism, it was desperation. This is a man that's trying to claw his way back to relevance, only to prove that Trump's point was right from the very beginning, that the media elites think that they're untouchable, when in reality, they're nothing without their fading platforms. I mean, look at MSNBC. I mean, they're almost gone. Like every show is getting canceled. All these anchors are being fired or laid off. So on the same day, President Trump goes nuclear on Maduro, Don Lemon gets stunned by the National Guard and humiliated on Capitol Hill. You can't make this stuff up, guys. So abroad and at home, the story is identical. Strength crushes weakness every single time. And then after getting kicked out of Greene's office, Marjorie Taylor Greene's office, and completely stonewalled by the National Guard, Don Lemon tried to salvage his crusade with one of the Democrats' favorite talking points, that red states have the highest murder rates. He waved it around like it was proof that Trump was unfairly targeting blue cities. But then came the schooling, right? A congressman looked him dead in the eye and said, look, those numbers, they come from blue cities inside of red states. Memphis, blue. Baltimore, blue. Chicago, blue. That's the truth that Democrats don't want you to hear. The murders, the carjackings, the chaos, they're concentrated in the cities run for decades by Democrat mayors and city councils. I mean, you can play with statistics all you want, but the reality is this. Crime is a blue city disease. And so here's where it gets even more devastating for Don Lemon's narrative. He goes to Baltimore, a city that's drowning in violent crime, expecting locals to echo his outrage against President Trump's plan. Instead, they shatter his worldview right to his face. One widow told him about her husband, murdered in a carjacking right in front of her home. No justice, no answers, and a mayor who did absolutely nothing. She said it plain. She wants the National Guard. She wants Trump's help. Another man told Don Lemon that he wasn't opposed at all. In fact, he welcomed troops to clean up the crime-ridden neighborhoods. He called the crime situation atrocious. These weren't elites in air-conditioned studios. These were real Americans living with blood on their sidewalks. And their message was the opposite of what Don Lemon came to hear. Now think about how that must have felt to him, right? Don Lemon, he was used to applause from Manhattan cocktail parties, and now standing on a Baltimore street corner with grieving families saying, yes, send Trump's National Guard. Yes, we want help. Yes, we want justice. So here's a situation that you just absolutely cannot ignore. The elites sneer about democracy while ordinary Americans are begging for safety. The media elites are saying that President Trump's troops are authoritarian, but the people that are living in the crime-ridden neighborhoods are saying that Trump's troops are lifesavers. So who do you believe, right? So this is where Democrats tip their hand. They're not afraid of the National Guard keeping the streets safe. They're afraid of Trump looking strong. Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker, he actually admitted it. He warned that President Trump's deployment of the Guard could be a pretense for election interference in 2026 and 2028. Now think about that. The Guard is out there saving lives, but Democrats are trying to spin fantasies about soldiers seizing ballot boxes. It's absurd. I don't even understand how he managed to conjure up that imaginative scenario. And so then you got Bill Mayer. He's sitting in his studio saying the quiet part out loud. Yes, the Guard would reduce crime. Yes, they would save lives, but it's not worth it. Because democracy, well, translation, better for families to keep burying their loved ones than for Trump to get credit for making cities safer. That's not democracy, guys. That is cruelty dressed up as ideology. So abroad, Trump goes nuclear, stealth fighters, warships, and a submarine that's staring down Maduro. Now at home, we got Don Lemon trying to provoke the National Guard and barge into congressional offices only to get stunned, shut down, and completely humiliated. I mean, he needs to just give it up. Really, Don Lemon just needs to give it up. Now on one side, you got a president projecting strength, warning dictators and, promising safety. But on the other side, elites are so desperate to stop him that they're willing to let Americans suffer. And a washed up anchor learning the hard way that the National Guard doesn't play along with propaganda. And so here's the final question. And I want to leave this with you right now. Who blinks first? Maduro facing Trump's firepower, or the Democrats facing a president who refuses to back down? Now, one thing is for sure. The world is watching. Trump is leading. The Guard is standing tall. And the media elite, well, they're shrinking by the second. Like this video, hit subscribe, and let me know in the comments, do you think Venezuela breaks first or the Democrats here at home. Because either way, the message is clear. Strength wins, weakness loses, and America under Trump is back on the offensive.